year one of
Let's go.
podcasting. This is going to be episode 52, 52 weeks in a row. Never thought we'd make it.
Dedication.
Never thought we'd make it. And what's funny about this episode is I have the Zach Hammer here with me. And Zach, you're going to hear so many things just real upfront. We're going to talk creative. We're going to talk about being newlywed, married. We're talking about branding, lifestyle. We're talking about being a creative, owning your own business, just a bunch of things. And with all of that, this is what you need to know. Earlier this year, these past 52 weeks, I think it was last fall, we actually recorded an episode, and the setup was completely different.
Way different.
We never released the episode. I don't have a clue where that episode is or even what happened. We recorded it, and we just didn't release it. But
The lost episode.
that is typical.
True.
When you're starting off and you're trying to do something new, you have to work so much extra just to even get something accomplished. And it's not that I even didn't want to release it or that we didn't even like it. I thought it was really good from what I remember. But it's just so funny because now we're here and we have a team, we have help, we have systems, and that's a great place to even just talk. Can you describe where I was and where we were a year ago when you were helping me even just launch this podcast?
Yeah,
just to
man.
kind of like bring it full circle, and then I want to talk a ton about you. But I just thought that'd be really cool just to even talk about.
I feel like so much was different. I mean, I had a different relationship status, different job. We were in a different location. So much of life was just very, very different when everything was just starting off. Like, we were shooting in studio space at the church that we could use and just kind of throwing things together, and now got this awesome venue where we can come and film. And it's crazy seeing how different things are, how different things change over time, but also just how, as time goes, it's so easy to start from you're just trying to bare bones do everything yourself to now, hey, as time goes on, things progress. Everything just gets a little bit incrementally better. Here and there, you bring in more people to help you out, and it's kind of wild to see how different things are now. It looks a lot better now.
Yes. Well, thank you. And also, what's cool is to remember those moments.
Yeah.
Of where you didn't have much.
Yes.
Or where you were just figuring it out.
Yeah.
And how much energy and effort it takes on the front end. Because over this past year, you have so many new things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just got married.
Yeah.
You before that, you started a brand new creative business.
Yep.
And you're now just really trying to see a new growth in life.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say has been the biggest, most important thing that you have done over this past year to keep taking steps forward and growing? Yeah, what would you say that is?
Just trying something new. Trying something new is huge. Like, people talk oftentimes about, like, is it better to create quality or quantity? And at this point, I'm saying quantity over quality, because the more quantity you get, the better your quality will be incrementally. And I see that through, like, photos, through video, through even just, like, being a husband over the past month. Not long at all, but, like, the more things that you try, the more you figure out what works. And the more you figure out what works, you get better at the things that work better. And then you can try more, and then you can get better at those things, and then you can try more and get better. And so the more that you do, the more that you practice, whatever it is. Like, if you practice martial arts, like, the more repetitions you get in, the better you're going to get. The more you practice any sport, the better you're going to get. And the more I practice creativity, photography, videography, editing, filming, different techniques and styles, the more I'm going to add to my toolkit, the more I'm going to be able to grow and improve upon and actually increase my skill set, increase my value in the market. And then same as a husband, the more things that I try to see, like, is this what makes my wife feel loved? Like, is this something that's good for us, for our home? The more things I can try, the more things I also figure out I don't work for us, don't work for her, don't work for me. And then we can go from there, continue to improve and change.
Speed.
Speed.
In a lot of ways,
Sometimes,
you're
yeah.
talking about speed because you're like, hey, reps, get as many as you can in.
Oh, yeah.
Which is speed. Like
Yeah.
go ahead and apply.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put something into action. Move.
Oh, yeah.
Go somewhere. Do something with this time, this energy, this effort that you actually have, and then you'll figure it out.
Totally.
You'll get better at it.
Totally.
And you'll actually niche down, focus in on something that you're like, oh, I didn't know that I wanted to do this, or I didn't know that I even liked that. And it's like there's this crippling way that people live sometimes, where it's like they have so many options, they don't know what to do. And in a lot of ways, that's anxiety. I'm anxious about all of this stuff because I have all of these options.
FOBO.
How did you go ahead? What did you say?
FOBO.
FOBO.
Molly Soderstrom, one of our good friends, talks about FOBO all
Yeah.
the time, fear of better options. And
Yeah.
I think that plays out in a million ways because we have so many options, like you said. Like you get analysis paralysis where you just don't know what to do, don't know what to pick, don't know what to choose. And like I see that with a lot of my single friends who are like on dating apps. They're like, there's so many options, or even people like in person, like, oh man, like I don't know if I should ask them out because what if someone better comes along? But then same with work, like, oh, should I like stay in this job? What if like this happens? Like, oh, should I apply to this job? What if a better option comes along? There's so many options that we have. We can scroll as much as we want to. We can apply to whatever we want to. We can ask out anyone. We can date whoever. Like, there are so many options that it makes it hard to choose anything. 100%.
Mike Adala,
Oh, yeah.
he runs the
Runner
offense.
boy, yeah.
We did an episode.
He
this
just
past
did the
year.
Leadville 100,
He
right?
did just do the Leadville
Crazy.
100. Well, he didn't just do the Leadville 100. He did like the Lead Challenge.
Oh.
Which is all of the races.
That's insane.
I think that's what it's called. I think it's called the Lead Challenge. He did all of them. Well, he was on this podcast this past year, and he talked about shoulding. Stop shoulding. And obviously, it sounds like something else, and maybe it's a play on words or whatever. But the idea is, like, stop having should as a part of your vocabulary, because you either do it or don't.
Yeah.
Don't say, I should do this. Yeah. Do it. Or not. Have a reason why for making that action, or have a reason why not to make the action.
Yeah, one thing I've been learning recently in the past couple months is kind of like stop being a dog with all bark and no bite. I'm trying to remember if it was a podcast or a book I read or heard it from, but there's this phenomenon where people will talk so much about their goals, dreams, and ambitions to the point where they're talking about it satisfies their craving for that thing, and so they never actually do something about it.
Wow.
And so instead of just talking all this game about like, oh, I want to be this, I should do this, oh, one day I'm going to do this, just start building towards it. Because the
Yeah.
more you actually talk about it with too many people, the less likely you are to actually do something about it. And like there's trusted people that you can bring in and share those dreams and passions and visions with, which you should, and people you can bring in along for the ride to help you become who you need to be to make those things a reality.
Yeah.
But the more you just constantly put out like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, oftentimes you actually crave you crave in your brain what the desire you have for that thing.
How have you removed should from your vocabulary and way of life?
Ooh.
Because you have. This past year, you have totally removed that from your life.
Yeah.
Maybe not totally, because we're human.
Definitely
We're
not totally.
perfect. But like, how have you learned to remove that from your life?
I think there's a few ways. One is, I mean, kind of like you said, just start doing stuff. I left my job as a creative director last December and started going full-time, pursuing my own creative business, doing lifestyle and hospitality photo and video, as well as doing weddings. So right now I'm about 50-50 between lifestyle, hospitality, and then weddings in terms of like my work and my income. And the biggest thing was just, instead of hesitating for reaching out to brands and being like, oh, it'd be cool to work with this brand, just doing it, just finally sitting down and saying, all right, here's all the things that I've said that I want to do and want to build. What is my plan to actually get there? And what do I need to do yesterday to start getting there? And then doing that right away. And so that has looked like reaching out to different influencers and creators that I've had relationships with or been able to build relationships with in the past, helping them as much as possible. So like one of my good friends, Jimmy the Barista, he's like decently big on TikTok and Instagram. And I just hit him up the second that I was free. I was like, hey dude, like whatever help you need filming videos, let me know. I quit my job. Like I have time, I have capacity. I'll do this for free. And that turned into, all right, now I've met all these big like coffee influencers, and I love coffee, so that's kind of like a big world for me. Meeting every single biggest coffee influencer because of my relationship and helping film for Jimmy for free has now led to I've got a few different like retainer brand deals, and I'm doing all of their content now. One is Fleur Glassware, who my friend Ethan Rohde started. Ethan's like 2.5 million followers on TikTok. 850 on Instagram, and then like 1 million some on YouTube. And if I didn't start shooting for Jimmy for free, then I wouldn't have the opportunity to have met Ethan, and then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to become the person who's making all of the content for his glassware brand, which is getting into a big retailer in like a couple months, but I'm not allowed to say who.
Okay, so break that down for us into steps. Because
yeah.
I heard a lot of really important steps, and you were able to like identify different people that helped you take that like next big jump. Because movement in life is highly, highly relational. There's something that we have learned this past year, and that we're just going to keep shouting out. Shout out to the Denver Ginger, who you introduced me to, because she. Through the conversation that we had, she helped me understand that luck comes from a place of love. And you can actually predict your luck, your opportunities where it looks like luck, based off of building a relationship where love and trust and understanding and a genuine relationship is found. And from that place of being a friend, which has love involved in a really healthy, meaningful friendship, it looks like luck. It looks like you get your big break. It looks like fill in the blank, where it's like, how did you all of a sudden just make it? Well, it was a long walk in
very
that
much so.
direction with some other people.
Yeah. With luck specifically, there's a book I read in, I think like middle school, where it defined luck as where preparation meets opportunity, which I think is a very good way to describe luck. Like things don't just happen overnight, as people always talk about. Like, yes, you might be able to get your big break overnight, or one TikTok post might just blow up overnight. But the people who you see who have those things that go viral and that catapult their platform have typically been doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Like people talk about you need 10,000 hours in something to truly become an expert. Like even my friend Ethan, who's at 2.5 million on TikTok now, like he had hundreds of videos that did less than 5,000 views before he ever got big. And I think that's very indicative of like kind of what happened to me. Not that I've made it by any means, but preparation. So me practicing how to do photo and video for like 8-10 years, somewhere in that range. I honestly don't remember how long I've been shooting stuff now, for years and years and years. And then practicing, going to coffee shops, like wanting to get into that world more, shooting for free, getting paid, like starting to do all of that, building the groundwork, working as a marketing and creative director for 3 years, like learning from different people, practicing different techniques at different organizations. Doing all those things were the practice reps I needed so that when the opportunity of me going to do something came about, I was able to capitalize on it, so that I could build relationships like you talked about, and use those relationships to continue my career, but also to help other people. Because I think a lot of people like see people as expendable, where the more that you help people, the more they want to help you. And that's something I've seen be very, very true in my life, in my experience. The more that I want to like help people and do right by people, either like shooting for free, oftentimes shooting for free has led to me getting more work than anything else has. Another client of mine, Loyal Coffee in Colorado Springs, I do monthly content for them now, and then some of their big projects I'll jump on as well. The whole reason I have that is because I was doing a video for Malkonig with Jimmy the barista. Malkonig's a big coffee grinder brand. And I asked Loyal Coffee, because they're my favorite coffee shop in the Springs, if I could come and shoot. They didn't get back to me right away, so I was kind of annoyed. I was like, dang it, like, I kind of need this content. And then they hit me back and were like, hey, yeah, no, like, come in. So I ended up meeting their media person, shot a ton of content, gave it to them for free, and was like, hey, I love you guys. I love what you're doing. Here's the stuff that I was shooting for them. I also wanted to shoot some and just give it to you. Gave them a ton of photos. They loved them. They liked me as a person. I've built relationships with baristas there over time. And they were like, hey, we want to hire you for this big project. So I had one of my biggest coffee projects up until that point because of that. And now they're paying me monthly. So just building a relationship, seeking out the ability to build your skill set, and then waiting for the opportunity to hit. All three of those factors, like when they come into play, yeah, that's your luck. And that's the thing that can push you forward.
It totally is. Mackenzie's awesome. Love Loyal Coffee. Shout out to them.
Shout out Loyal.
And what's amazing about what you're saying is also, like, if you think about preparation and why you prepare, it's because you love it.
Yeah.
You love this. You love creating. You love creating content. And by the way, let me ask you a question. Even if they didn't hire you, would you feel good about giving them that content?
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. I think, dude, like, I mean, I know you've given so much away for free, and you're not looking for anything in return. But what happens is you win no matter what.
Yeah.
And you describe why you would give it away no matter what. Because I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, and especially in the creative sphere, which there is a reputation, which is a valid reputation that businesses will take advantage of creators.
Yes.
Which is very true and somewhat unfortunate. Like, there are a lot of very talented people who are trying to make a living doing stuff like what I'm doing, and a lot of businesses who don't allocate appropriate resources to marketing, whatever it is that they do. But I also think that there's a lot of people who, this kind of sounds bad, but overemphasize their own value in terms of the skill set that they bring to a market. And they have some degree of entitlement, like, oh, I can take these photos, so you should pay me money, when they've never taken the time to understand the potential client. They've never built a relationship. They've never actually identified what the need is. And they haven't actually practiced enough to make their skill set as valuable as they think it might be, which, not to say their skill set is unvaluable, but I think part of why I love being able to do content for free, and why I think other people should as well, is, one, it gives you practice reps. Two, it gives me the opportunity to provide value to someone who I can then build a relationship with. And so me providing initial value opens the door to them seeing me as someone who can provide more value to them in the future. And me doing that also creates an opportunity for us to build a relationship, and me to just say, all right, cool, like, here, like, this is for you guys. I just want to bless you guys. I like what you're doing. I appreciate your business. I just also like supporting small businesses, so here you go. And every single time I've done that, they've wanted to build a personal relationship with me, and from that has led to work, I'd say, like 50 to 60% of the time. So, like, yeah, you're missing a lot of the time, but you're still batting 600, which is pretty good.
Oh, it's amazing. And you are building a reputation of someone who serves.
100%.
And someone who cares, and someone who wants the relationship, and that's more valuable than getting hired.
Oh, yeah.
But from there, you find out if someone wants to take a further step, and I'm like, hey, like, do you guys,
Yeah.
I think we do want to bring you on.
Yeah.
Well, why do we want to bring you on? Because we trust you.
Yeah.
Because we have a relationship with you.
Totally.
Because we want to work with you. Because we want to allot more money to bring you on.
Absolutely.
Because of the product that you produce for us.
Absolutely.
And so let's rewind.
Totally.
Because there was we kind of blew by a question that I really want to hear. It's okay. This past year, you are a young creative business owner.
Yeah.
All right, and it's awesome, and I love that so much. And you just said that there's so many creatives who get taken advantage of, but who also don't know how to like, how do I get where you are?
Yeah.
And what are those, like, if you were to give maybe some steps or some principles that may not be true for everyone, but that were true for you, that we could learn from, what are those 3 to 5 things that you would say, okay, that was something that helped me take a step. That was something that helped me take a step.
I think one thing that comes to mind initially is learn how you learn, whether that's like directly from another person. Me personally, I'm like fully self-taught with photo, video, editing. Everything that I do, I've learned on my own. Like I took one photography class in high school, and it was genuinely the worst experience I've ever had in my entire life. And I've been arrested in Russia. Like, this was so much worse than that. Like, literally, like, here's a photograph that someone took. Try to recreate it exactly. I was like, this is so boring. This is so dumb.
Wait, why were you arrested in Russia? Is that
Prefer
legal?
not to answer.
Okay. That's fine.
Smuggling.
Okay, yeah,
Smuggling
sure,
bubbles, basically.
sure. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay.
That was
well,
a while ago.
maybe not hilarious, but
I saw my visa, so hopefully it doesn't
yeah,
get
you're okay.
taken away.
You're good. Okay.
But
So keep going. Sorry.
Learning how you learn, I think, is really big. Like for me personally, it was YouTube. Like I watched so many people on YouTube and just figured out like, all right, they're posting tutorials on how to do this, how to use this platform, how to do this editing technique in Premiere. Like just learning from other people on YouTube was big for me. For other people, I know it's like second shooting for other wedding videographers or photographers helps them like see what they do. For me, it's also like looking on Pinterest. I also learn a lot through looking at nature and looking at art. Architecture for me is huge. I'm a big like interior design type of guy, and so like seeing how people design spaces as well as just looking at different paintings oftentimes gives me inspiration for thinking through, hey, how can I like translate this idea into my creativity? That's definitely big. So like learning how you learn, whether that's through like from another person or from online courses from YouTube, however that works, is huge. And then actually doing something with that, like we talked about, instead of saying, oh, I should ask to second shoot a wedding, like start reaching out to every single wedding photographer in your area and being like, hey, I want to learn. Can I second shoot? Like I'll second shoot for free because I want to learn, you know? And just getting that experience is the number one thing, like learning from people.
Does somebody need an amazing camera to be
Absolutely
a good videographer
not.
and photographer?
Absolutely not.
So can you give that? Can you like riff on that for a second? Like, give me a hot take.
Totally.
Here's the hot take. I need the best video camera that is out there.
Yeah, if you're new, you need to spend at least $20,000 before you can get into the. No. The best camera you have on you, or the best camera is the one you have on you. For those in the creative sphere, so I'm like, I shoot a lot of stuff on iPhone nowadays. Like, I don't do most of what I do on iPhone, but like BTS stuff on iPhone, like TikToks, I shoot on my iPhone. Like Reels, I shoot a lot of those on my iPhone now, or at least like a mix of. Best camera is the one you have on you. And like Casey Neistat, big YouTuber guy, he always talks about story is king. If you've got a good story, people care more about the story than the quality of the video.
The best camera is the one you have on you.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to remember that.
Because the camera you have on you is the one that gives you the opportunity to get the practice in, which is, I would say, my number 2 thing that people should take into consideration, or my advice to people who are wanting to grow in their creative endeavors or open up their own creative business, because I know a lot of people are, but practice. You have to practice. If you don't practice, you're never going to get good at the thing that you want to get paid for. And so, yeah, use your phone. Use whatever you have on you so that you can get that practice in.
So good. Why do you want to practice? You specifically. Why do you, the hammer, want to practice?
Because I have to. I don't even think I want to a lot of the times, but I think sometimes it's
Did you originally want to, though?
I would say like sometimes it's reframing practice to make practice look like play.
Okay.
Yeah. Like a lot of people in the martial arts world talk about this as well, as like, oh, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is fun, and that helps me want to do it more. Like for me, working out and climbing is fun. So it makes me want to do it more and get more practice in. Shooting interiors in coffee shops for me is fun. And so because it's fun for me, it doesn't feel too much like practice, which is really helpful. And it also creates creativity. Like having to shoot similar spaces or the same things. Like I shoot a ton of coffee shops. Having to shoot coffee shops over and over and over and over again stretches my creativity because I don't want to make the same video 100 times. And so having to practice my creativity by going into similar spaces over and over again, but wanting to capture them differently and do something that no one else is doing it's helped me kind of trademark my style. So I do a lot of like slow shutter speed photo GIFs. And I don't see anyone else on the internet doing that at all, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I've got like 4 different photo techniques that I've seen no one do in the interior or lifestyle hospitality space, which is kind of fun. But I wouldn't have gotten there unless I went to a ton of different shops and were like, hey, can I shoot some photos for free? Like, hey, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And then getting the practice in. And yeah, practice is fun. It gives an opportunity to build relationships as well, which I love meeting good people and building relationships, so that always helps.
Yeah. Well, you're really good at building community in and around everything that you do. And that's one of my favorite things about you, actually, is you're constantly building relationships with people because you care about people, and they're really valuable to you. So I think that's a huge marker to what you're doing. So here's 3 things that I heard you say, okay? And I think this could be really good for everyone that's listening, or anyone that's a creative, or anyone that's trying to create something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Whether you think that you're an artist, a photographer, a videographer, or you got a dream and an idea of something that doesn't necessarily exist yet. You did 3 things that I think we could all learn from. 1, you figured out how you learn. 2, you practiced and you played, and you used those symbiotically and interchangeably. So play was practice, practice was play. I think those work together in you too.
Very much.
And then 3, you gave.
Yeah.
You gave yourself, and you gave your product, and you gave the things that you were creating away. Mm-hmm. And if we can do those 3 things, I think over and over and over again, we actually will become the best version of ourselves that likes the thing that has now become not just a hobby, but a way of life. And we will have gotten really good. And so something I've heard, let's see what you think about this, is if it's not your hobby, it may not be your thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
If it's not something that you would do even if you didn't get paid to do, at least a little bit of it.
Yeah.
It may not be the thing that you're passionate about.
Totally.
Now, I think it's okay if you work and you do other things to exist and help and serve and to care for. But like in a lot of ways, that helps you take care of people and build community. And so, and I'm talking about creatives in this moment, and I'm talking about finding your passion and seeing your passion over dissect or intersect your like how you provide.
Yeah.
And so, man, what would you say about, and how would you encourage a creative that, like, if it's not your hobby, you're probably not going to be the best at it?
Yeah, that's very true, because unless you're able to give the time to it that you need to grow the thing, you're not going to blow up. Like, if you don't care about, as a creative, if you don't care about the thing that you're creating, you're not going to be inspired or motivated to practice, and you're not going to force yourself to be disciplined to practice it either, which that's a whole other thing, like discipline outside of just feeling motivated. Like, sometimes you need to discipline yourself into being motivated to do the thing, and if you don't care about the thing you're doing, you will not choose to be disciplined or to motivate yourself towards it. Just like you with running, like running 800 some days in a row, like you have to like it at least a little bit. And there are days that you don't like it, but the discipline kicks in to motivate you to do the thing regardless. And if you just don't like the end result or don't like the action which you're performing, you're never going to discipline, motivate yourself to practice enough, to get good enough, to get paid for the thing. I also think that there are ways in which you can leverage creativity in multiple ways. Like, I'm a photographer, filmmaker guy. Like, I do photo, I do video. I also love coffee. I also love lifestyle aesthetics and hospitality brands and interior design. And so I leverage my creative skill to amplify my hobby and love for coffee lifestyle aesthetics, where someone else could take their creative skill and use that to amplify their love for fashion, like our friend Nicole.
Yeah.
Or they could take their creative skill to amplify their love for anime. You know, whatever it happens to be, like taking that creative skill doesn't mean you have to create within a certain box. Oftentimes, I think we constrain ourselves too much. I always love to look at, like, I draw these constraint boxes with my wife all the time of like, all right, how much money do we have? How much time do we have? What are our availability in terms of like options? And then you figure out based off the constraints what it is that you can actually do. So like, all right, I have this much gear, I have these hobbies, I have this much skill, I have these opportunities and resources. And from there you can hone in on what you actually want to do, because you can use your creativity to do whatever you want. I think so many people just niche down too much into something they don't actually care about, like you said.
So, I think you could sit down. I think anybody can do this. You can sit down. All you need is a whiteboard or a piece of paper, something to write with on that thing, and a smart friend who wants the best for you.
Oh, yeah.
And encourages you. And what you can do is you can take these concentric circles, and you can say, just like you said, constraints. Okay, what are my hobbies? How much money do I need to make versus how much do I need to survive or want to make or even survive? And then what is the time that I have in my availability? And you can figure out how those can intersect and how they could begin to intersect so that my passions and hobbies and things that I like can also come together and say like, oh, here's how I can make my way toward the dream that I would like to have come into my life. Because it can also help you say like, it can help the person that's like, hey, I don't really have a dream. Well, then let's talk.
Totally.
We can figure this thing out so that you can make your way to where you want to go. And I love creative sessions like that, where we can figure out how this interlays with this, bases off of your uniqueness and skill set and giftings versus what you know right now. Because you may not know enough about the thing that you love to make any money off of. Well, that's okay, but we can actually reverse engineer it to figure out a way for you to get there.
Yeah.
If somebody is wanting to be a creative, if someone thinks that they're amazing, a really good creative, and they want to be a business owner, and they want to work for themselves, they want to create the content, what are some things that you weren't expecting to learn or to realize that you have learned or realized that we need to start thinking about before we can get there?
Yeah, I think the same thing that we've talked about a couple times already, which is relationships. Like, there are a lot of people who I didn't expect, who have tried to connect me to different people in different ways to help me get more opportunities for work. That is the single biggest thing that has been like really cool to see, like which friends, not that I've had anyone be like a hater and be like, oh, you're not going to be able to do this, like blah, blah, blah. But seeing how different people respond to you taking a big risk is really cool and really interesting, because it has been an indicator for me to see who are like the people who are really on my side. Not that people are not on my side, but see who's like, hey, like these type of people champion me. And it was really cool to see that a lot of the people who really championed me were people that I feel like I've really championed in the past as well, which just goes to show the same principle of the more you give to people, the more that they want to reciprocate and give to you as well. And not that you should give out of an expectation for reciprocity, but the more I gave to more people, the more they wanted to see me grow and succeed.
I love that, because really this conversation has been about like process and growth and becoming. and that's awesome. There's a lot of negativity around creatives,
Totally. Yeah.
like
Which
a
is
ton,
fair.
which is fair, especially when it comes to like the people that hire you,
Yeah.
business owners, and there needs to be some type of relationship and trust built.
Yes.
What is the hardest thing, or what have you seen? Maybe not in your life. What have you seen is the hardest thing between creatives and business owners?
Managing expectations is the biggest thing. And it's still something I struggle with sometimes, especially when it's like, I want to deliver stuff faster. And so I'm like, oh, I don't want to text them and say like, oh, it's going to be another week when they're really excited to get the thing. That's definitely the most difficult part, managing expectations and being real with your expectations, and constraints as well. Like right now I've got a lot of different clients and things in my editing queue. So like my wedding photos, I prefer to turn them around in 2 weeks if I can. Right now it's like pushing closer to the further point on our contract, which 2 weeks is pretty absurdly
It's
fast.
very
Like, most
fast.
people get their wedding photos within like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
So I still want to like give things to people quickly, but the toughest thing is like having clients who are like, oh, we really want this like tomorrow, and having to say, well, I've got like 4 other things that I need to finish editing for clients who I've already shot for. Like, you're not going to get this for another week. But then also being okay, like as a creative, saying like, hey, these are my constraints. Being very upfront and honest about it, I think makes people understand where you're coming from. Because otherwise, a lot of people, kind of like you said, have a negative view of creatives where they're like, oh, they just like are like off in their own world doing whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you're like a disciplined, creative individual who is like trying to run a business well, like you probably have a ticket of 5 other videos that you have to finish before this one you just shot. And so communicating that with your client is very, very important.
Why do creatives have a difficult time with that?
I think part of it is a desire for perfection. I think that's part of it. I think another part of it is a lot of creatives run on the power and the whim of inspiration as opposed to the power of discipline, which I think a lot of people experience. People experience that with working out. Like one day you'll be super motivated, and then for a month you're like, I just don't feel like going to the gym. But you should still get to the gym. It's the same with creatives and editing, like doing photo and video. Like, oh, like I just don't feel inspired to edit these photos today. Like, it's gloomy out. I just want to sit home and drink my cortado, and and I fall into that trap a lot. And I think creatives sometimes don't want to admit the fact that they're not disciplined in those regards. So some of the people who I see make the best content are some of the people I know who are the most disciplined individuals, not that they're the most creative individuals. Going back to what we talked about before is like you need to practice, and practice comes from being disciplined enough to practice. And I think a lot of creatives have a hard time forcing their creativity, which for me personally, one thing I know that helps me is if I just start working on something for 10 minutes and I force myself to do it for 10 minutes, even though I know I'm not inspired to do it, or I don't feel like I'm like editing well, like I don't feel like creative. After 10 minutes, I start to get into the zone and then I'm good to go.
What if a creative doesn't feel like it? Like, what if I'm not feeling creative right now?
Yeah.
What would you say to that person?
Figure it out, bucko. No, not entirely, but partially true. I think
don't expect to have it pay for the bills.
No, 100%. Yeah, and that's very true.
Don't expect to grow.
Yeah, don't expect to grow if you're not going to force yourself to grow. Just like going to the gym. Like if you don't force yourself to go to the gym, you're never going to get stronger.
Your feelings don't need to determine how you live your life.
And that is, I think, the biggest lie that a lot of people nowadays believe is that because I feel this way, I should blank. Because I feel tired, I should stay in bed. Where like my wife's a teacher, so she has to wake up at a certain time every day so she can get out of the house so she can be at school with her kids. And so like me as a husband, I'm trying to force myself to like be on the same schedule with her, which is really hard because I'm a night owl and waking up at like 5:30 is hard. But I'm forcing myself to say, hey, no, like I want to be a loving husband. So at 5:30, I wake up with my wife and I go make her coffee so she can have coffee for the day. And that small little discipline is kind of a reflection of, all right, I don't want to edit these photos. I'm going to force myself to do this right now, even though I don't want to. And oftentimes what I find is after 10 minutes of forcing myself to do it, I'm in the zone. I feel creative all of a sudden. The juices are flowing. But I think it's also allowing yourself rest. Just as much as you need to force yourself to do, you need to force yourself to rest, which I'm very bad at. Like the Bible talks
Which is another discipline, by the way.
100%.
Rest is also a discipline that we have to have
Yes.
within our life.
Yes.
Because it sustains what needs to happen on the other side of rest.
Yes.
Which is action, which is
Yes.
activity, which is work. And if we want to get paid to work for the thing that was play, we need to bring a work mindset
Yes.
to the thing that we were playing with
Yes.
and that we were practicing on. And there must be a switch. I love that. Have you ever read the book, The War of Art?
I've been listening to it on Audible. Yes. I think you told me about it.
Yeah, we talked about it. I love the play on words, because it's not the art of war, because that's different.
So too, yeah.
Yeah, it's very different. The War of Art for a creative is really, really valuable. Read a page a day.
Yeah.
If you're a creative
Another
and
discipline.
you need to find some discipline and you need to understand the war with inside every creative, and if you lead creatives, it may be good. If you're trying to create a future that doesn't exist yet, this is actually a really powerful book because it talks about discipline and resistance and striking it every single day, because if you strike it for 10 minutes a day, you'll find out that you'll start being more creative at that time of day
Yes.
and for those 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I love that you gave yourself a window.
Yeah.
I think that is really important. We need to start doing that. Okay, so here's a question. What are a few things, 1 to 3 things, that every creative, based off of the world that we live in right now, what are 1 to 3 things that every creative needs to hear? On the climate of business, the world, creativity, future, yeah.
Your client count and your bank account don't measure your worth as an artist or as a human being, which is really hard, especially when there's that kind of stereotype about struggling artists who have nothing and then questioning, oh man, am I even good? And fact of the matter is you might not be good, but you also might not be good yet. And recognizing, hey, my intrinsic worth as a human being is not reliant on whether or not this client picks me to be their photographer or videographer or painter or whatever it happens to be. Recognizing that, hey, I'm only making X amount on weddings when I know that this other creator is making this amount per wedding. That doesn't make you less of a person. That doesn't make you less of a creative or an artist by any means. It just means that other person maybe had a little bit better luck at that moment in time, and I see it as an opportunity to motivate to try to continue to become who you're becoming. Recognizing that, hey, as I'm becoming someone else doesn't mean that I will then attain value as a person once I become that person. I exist in a state of having value and being loved, and because I exist in that state, it gives me more freedom to continue to shift and grow and be who I want to be and not do it out of a desire or a need to be loved. Huge. That's huge. I think the other thing that creatives need to hear, this is more like a funny one, but your gear doesn't matter that much, so stop talking about it. Please shut up. I don't care. I don't care that you got the new Red camera when your videos suck. Truthfully, I think that's big. We chase the clout of, oh, I've got the nicest camera. I just bought the R5 Mark II. I got this, which all that stuff is great, but oftentimes it becomes clout, like you're brand chasing, you're chasing after a label, as opposed to saying oh no, I just create really good content. I'd much rather be yeah, dude, I've got a $200 camera and I can create the best video you've ever seen versus saying like, oh yeah, I've got a 5K setup. It's like, all right, cool. Like, what have you done? I mean, like, I've got the setup, dude. So like, I'm legit. And a lot of creatives just focus and think about like the gear, and don't actually practice doing what they need to do.
Have you ever gotten a job or a gig and the person hiring you asked you what you were shooting on?
Literally not one time. Quite literally not one single time. I think the closest I've ever gotten to that is I offer like film photo packages for weddings, and I've had people be like, oh, what film camera do you use? But not out of like, what film camera do you use? Like, oh man, I'm excited. This is like a cool, like unique thing. I want to hear more about like what you do, why you do it. Yeah, I've never had someone be like, wait, sorry, you shoot on R6 Mark II? Oh, like we actually only hire people who shoot on like C70s or FX6s. Like if you don't have a cinema camera, you can't work here. I've never experienced that. And that comes into play more when you're doing like a Netflix doc, obviously. But for the average person like me who just wants to build a creative business, like don't put yourself into debt over gear that you don't need yet.
That's a good word. That's a bar. I think we need that in all aspects, not even just in creative ones.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't have to buy everything.
No.
You maybe should have something.
Yeah. I rented a camera and a lens this past weekend for a wedding. I don't need to buy another camera right now. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And it honestly can be a part of the price point.
Totally.
You know, and so then they're paying for the camera. Mm-hmm. And
exactly.
you're not losing out on any money. And I think that's really important for creatives just to hear, even for me to hear.
Don't raise the barrier for entry for yourself. Like a lot of people do that because they don't have the camera yet. They're like, well, I can't like reach out to clients because I don't have this gear yet. Yeah. And so they actually raise the bar to enter into the dream life that they want because they have this assumption or expectation that to be the type of person who shoots for these brands, you need to have this gear, this experience, this. When in reality, they care. Brands, clients like that I've worked with, they're utilitarian. They care about the end result. They care about the experience working with you. They don't care what you use.
Yeah, and they really care about communication.
And they care about communication.
They really care about, which is the experience. You just said it. You said the experience
they
have with you, which is you communicating clearly and well with them.
They want to know that they can trust you, and they can trust you a lot easier when you're communicating to them realistic expectations.
Yeah, so let's talk this. Let's talk coffee.
Great.
Okay.
Love to.
You love coffee. We're drinking coffee, which is awesome. You care to top me off? That'd be great. Appreciate you. Okay, so coffee. You're doing this really cool thing, and I think it's a lot of fun, and people need to follow you because people are always looking for the coolest, best coffee shop in X, okay, whatever city. That's literally what you're doing. You do a segment where you're looking for the coolest coffee shop in the world.
Yeah.
Right, that's the I hit that right. Okay,
exactly.
Good. I was
Nailed
like,
it.
I think I know that.
Crushed
I'm pretty sure I know that. I love watching
research.
it. Yeah. Well, all right. We've talked about it a lot,
Sure.
And so people are always looking for that. You're looking for that, and you are constantly doing maybe reviews on coffee shops or talk to us about like what makes a cool coffee shop, or how did you even get into shooting that? So if someone follows you on Instagram, they'll see lifestyle branding, they'll see some wedding stuff. You have a great aesthetic on all of that you shoot. You have a way that you shoot, like you're talking about, which is a lot of fun just to watch and to be inspired by. What made you look for the coolest coffee shop, and then why is that important, or why is that valuable?
Yeah, I've been doing coffee photo for a while in some capacity. Like during COVID, I worked for 2 different coffee shops from where I'm from, just helping them with their roasting content, basically. And I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun. I've loved coffee shops since, my junior year of high school. I started going to coffee shops because I didn't want to do homework at home. I got bored. I was like, I feel too cooped up. I want to do something. So I started going to coffee shops and building relationships like that. That has since expanded to me loving interior design, me loving coffee, me loving the process of coffee, me loving the relationships that I've been able to build through coffee, and that coffee as a whole builds in itself. And I also work very remote. So because of that, I'm like, I don't want to be at home all the time. I want to go to coffee shops. I want to go somewhere where I can enjoy this drink that I enjoy, and build relationships with other people. And as I was doing that, I'm like, oh man, like I go to all these coffee shops. Like I want to take more photos anyway. Like I need the practice. Why not just start shooting photos of coffee shops? This will be fun. So I started shooting more and more photos of coffee shops. Didn't fully see it as necessarily me wanting to get paid to do it. But the more I did it, I was like, oh no, like every business needs content in some capacity, because they need to remind people who they are. And a lot of coffee shops have really crappy social media, and it shows in their clientele. I hate to say it, or lack thereof. And like,
Right.
I was like, all right, like this space is so cool. Like I bet way more people would come to this shop if they knew what the space looked like. So I wanted to take more shots of interiors and then share that. And I kind of saw it as, this is something I'm doing anyway. Why not capture it? Why not share it with other people? Why not make content of it? Like why not? Why wouldn't I do it? I've got the gear, I've got the skill set, I've built relationships where they're chill with me to do it, so let's just start doing it. And so yeah, taking photos of coffee shops pretty much everywhere I go is one of my favorite things. And it also forces me to build relationships with people. Like I did 5 or 6 coffee shops in California. I have no relationships in California. So I would literally just walk up to baristas and be like super friendly. Hey, what's up? Like, I'm Zach. Nice to meet you. Love your guys' shop. Like, hey, this is so funny, but like I do a series on Instagram just like showcasing coffee shops that I visit. Would you mind if I shot some photos? And it's always led to good conversation with the barista, and oftentimes free coffee. So life hack.
No, I love that. And what encourages me with what you just said, it's an intersection of what I love and what I'm trying to do.
And what I'm already doing.
And what I'm already doing. I am already here working. Why wouldn't I just work while I'm here?
Yeah.
On the thing that I like.
Exactly.
And it's like,
all right, this adds 30 minutes to my day. It's like, all right, cool. Maybe another hour of editing later. All right, that's an hour and a half I can commit. Sweet. Like, here's the amount of time I have. All right, maybe that means I'm working while I eat dinner tonight.
Yeah.
That's okay. And then from there, it's built up to like, oh, now this is actually part of my job. And my daily routine is like going to coffee shops because it leads me to getting paid for coffee shops. And now working for myself, I have a lot more flexibility in my schedule to be able to go and do this. Not as much as I want, but closer to as much as I want, which is really fun.
at least consistently.
At least consistently.
Consistently. Okay, so one thing I've been saying, if anyone is trying to build community, here's where you need to go to learn.
Ooh.
One of the best places you can go to learn is learn from the coffee shops that have the type of community you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Every coffee shop has a unique community.
Yes.
A unique group of people, culture that goes there. And so if you're trying to build one, if you want to learn how to build a culture in that city, in a community in that city, guess what? The baristas know how to build that thing.
Yeah.
And so learn from the baristas.
Baristas are the new bartenders.
Oh, they're amazing at building community, culture, and a type of people, getting a type of people together.
yeah,
So going there, if you're new to that city, is really, really powerful. I love thinking about that. And then can you tell us maybe your top 3 to 5 coffee shops, where they are and the names of them? You got to.
Oh, this is this is the worst question.
Exactly. We're asking it. We're asking the worst question because you have to share. So,
all right.
And it doesn't have to be like an exclusive. Maybe do a variety.
Okay,
So,
okay.
like, choose a few different cities.
A few coffee shops, a few different cities. First ones that come to mind: Makeworth Coffee, Bellingham, Washington. Maybe the best coffee shop space I've ever experienced. It's incredible. Like, there's no way around it. The people who work there are awesome. Shout out Tim from Makeworth Coffee. I actually went out there with my friend Jimmy the barista, and we did some videos for them, but they're super cool up there. Love their shop. I got to shout out Loyal Coffee because they pay me money. No.
They legit have some of the best. They have the best
Dude,
food. I mean, yes,
their food is
their coffee
amazing.
is amazing.
Oh my
But the setup, the vibe,
Dude.
McKinsey, the whole team,
Unmatched.
like it's hospitality, the culture.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Their Loyal Coffee is amazing. Yeah, they've got 2 spaces in Colorado Springs. Both are fantastic. They're doing some things to the downtown location that I'm not supposed to talk about quite yet, but they've got some really cool, exciting stuff coming. They're awesome. First announcement, I'm actually entering the World Cold Brew Championships this year, and I'm going to be using one of Loyal Coffee's coffees for that, which will be really fun.
I saw you shooting a video, and that was the funniest looking setup.
Dude, it was nuts. Yeah, that's another thing for creatives. Like, don't worry about not having a studio. Just whatever you have, you can make work.
That's,
Like
it goes back to the
Yeah.
whatever the best camera you have is the one that you have on you.
Like, I don't have a
AKA
studio space.
your phone.
Dude,
So,
I have made thousands of dollars this year shooting ads in my living room.
love it.
It's amazing.
Love it.
But yeah, Loyal Coffee is amazing. I also really like Switchback Coffee Roasters in Colorado Springs as well. They have a very similar vibe to Loyal. They're both very hospitality focused, great food, great coffees. Also got to shout out Dayglow Coffee in California. They're
What city?
Newport Beach area.
Okay.
It's right where Jared and Deerica
Okay.
moved to. 4 minutes away from them. I'm so jealous.
Say the name again.
Dayglow. It's actually Dayglow Surf Shop, but it's a surf shop / coffee shop. Dude, it's sick. It's so cool. There's like surfboards. There's a cool little boutique, and the coffee is awesome. They're a multi-roaster, which means they showcase coffees from a bunch of different roasters, which is really cool. Also got to shout out my friends at Onyx Coffee. They're in Arkansas. I think they're the best big roaster in the world, and it's not close. Like, they're awesome. Shout out my friend Nikki, who's their creative director. They're super cool. They just do a lot of really good stuff. And then otherwise, I also really like Thank You Coffee in Orange County, California. It's a really cool spot. And then Corvus Coffee here in Denver. Shooting a video for them later today, so thanks, Corvus.
Come on.
They sponsored my bachelor party. They give us a ton of free coffee for my
I
bachelor
love
party.
that. I love that. I feel like that was your top 6.
Yeah, that's great.
Your top 6.
I'll
I think
take
that's
it.
a good. That's a good. Those are great recommendations. If I'm ever in a city, Zach always knows I
got
am
the
hitting him
spots.
up.
Hit
like,
me up
hey,
on Insta. I'll send you spots.
No, that's for real. I'll DM him if you ever get the digits. Text him.
If I respond, we'll see. I'm low key better at texting on Instagram than I am on my actual text.
That's for real. I know that from facts, but it's not because he doesn't love you or he doesn't have a relationship with
I
you.
got like 400 unread right now. For the
I'm
past,
with you.
week.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I may have you beat on accident.
Man. Oh, gosh.
But okay, so let's bring this conversation to a little bit of a
Let's do
close
it.
because this has been amazing. Give me one thing that we should all be either thinking about or working on when it comes to learning. What's one thing you're learning or we should be learning?
I was actually thinking about this morning unintentionally. I think one thing I'm learning is to figure out what I don't know. I think it's really easy. We're creative people, like as a whole, people are creative and thoughtful. And so we can figure out problems, we can come to solutions, but we don't know what we don't know because we haven't experienced things. And so for me, like the biggest thing I'm learning right now is to figure out what I don't know so I can figure out from there. And the way you learn that is through interactions with other people, through practicing new things, building relationships.
Why is that important?
Dude, I have to pee really bad. Do you mind if I run?
Go ahead.
And
Come back.
I'll be right back.
Pee real quick.
The coffee. But that's actually, it's good for me to sit on that for a second.
How much time do we have left? Do we care to pause that camera? You can probably leave the audio running.
Pause on this one.
Don't you think?
33 minutes.
We have 33 minutes left?
Yeah.
Oh, you can keep it running then.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just take it. This is a good episode, probably.
Fine.
Don't you think?
Yeah. 10,000 hours. He's talking about it without talking about it. dope pictures. And then I got some solid ones too. Excited.
Dan, this is big. I need to make sure that we tell Austin
What?
at the hour mark at the end.
Got you.
We had to take a break, so we have to come back in.
Oh, okay. Cause we're at an hour and 10 minutes.
I'm gonna text him while we're thinking about it.
Sorry, Austin. I didn't go before. That was a mistake.
You good. Okay, we good on these two things? All right.
Sweet.
All right, we're back.
Awesome. Sorry, Austin.
You good. I'll clap us back in real quick. Clap. Okay, so we were talking about learn.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important to learn things you don't know? Learn what you don't know.
If you don't know what you don't know, you're unable to grow in some capacity. Like
That's a bar. If you don't know what you don't know, you're unable to grow. I feel like that's in
EP
some kind
coming
of
soon.
Yeah,
I'm just
EP coming soon.
Yeah, understanding the areas which you lack knowledge give you an opportunity to take an advantage over other people. Not take advantage of people, but it gives you a unique edge.
It gives you an unfair advantage.
It gives you an unfair
to
advantage
move forward
exactly.
and grow. Yes,
exactly. The more that you understand aspects about the game that other people don't, the more you're gonna win. Just like in
and not even against others. I don't even hear you saying that.
No.
I'm saying I think what you're saying is the more that you're just going to win.
exactly
Because you have less.
whatever win
You have less blind spots. The blind spots that you have, the reason that you're blind to them is because you don't know about them.
Yes, exactly. So, for example, like a lot of these bigger coffee influencers are mostly the people who I work with. A lot of them have figured out aspects of social media that other people don't even know that they need to ask that question. And because of that, they have a unique, unfair advantage to leverage TikTok or leverage Instagram, leverage YouTube, because they've learned XYZ things that most people don't even think about or don't even know that they need to ask the question about. So by learning those things, you can have an unfair advantage over everyone else to become who you want to become. Not just to beat other people, let's say, but you can grow faster, you can grow quicker, you can grow to be who you want to be in a way that other people can't. Same with if you're working out, like learning certain recovery techniques or diet techniques that make sense for your body. Like by figuring those things out, you're going to increase your opportunity to grow. Like physically, you're going to increase your rest. Like you're going to grow in all these different areas. And so figuring out the things that you don't know right now or don't know to ask by building relationships with people who have been there, done that already is going to exponentially speed up your growth.
What don't I know that I need to know? I'm going to practice this right now.
Oh, man.
What do I not know that I need to know? Maybe it's the podcast. Maybe it's this podcast, social media. You can use whatever you want. Let's practice this. Let's show in real time what this looks like. Teach me a blind spot that we may have
With podcasts
with the
specifically?
Full Vantage podcast.
Ooh, man.
with FVP? You've known it from the beginning.
Yeah. I'm thinking back to the podcast right now in the past. Thing that you might not know. Maybe it is something that you know, but might not necessarily have the capacity to do yet is
Great.
you should
That's a
be-
kind way of saying you suck and you need to get better. No, I'm just kidding. No. I think that's a great way to frame that, though,
Yeah.
because it makes me interested in what you have to say.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
100%. It could be shorter clips are going to be important for you, but also right now on TikTok, they're pushing things that are like 4 minutes, 5 minutes long. And so having like chopped up segments that are that long on social media could be something that's beneficial. And like, I didn't realize, for example, like I didn't even know to ask the question about like what things are working on social media right now or what is changing about TikTok and Instagram. And so having learned certain things, it's allowing me to adapt what I make for other clients. So for you guys, for example, it's like, hey, some of these 4-minute clips actually might be better than a 20-second clip right now on certain platforms.
Okay, can I tell you what I just learned
Yeah.
about that? Or is who in my life is being relevant
Yeah.
in learning so that I don't have to spend the time
Yes.
learning that thing?
Yeah. That's big.
Because that's their hobby.
Yes. That's a good way to put what I've kind of uneloquently been sharing.
No. You've been saying it you've been getting down in the nuance and fleshing it out. I'm just able to I just took what you said and I learned something
No, that's
that's
great.
really tight
Yes.
and packaged.
Here's
And-
the one takeaway.
But if we don't have this conversation, we can't ever give a gift that's packaged well.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is so valuable. And let me take it to the next thing that I would want to, as we wrap up, that I'm really enjoying asking lately, is what's the question that's your favorite right now, or that we should be asking?
How can I help you? Easy. And I think this plays out in a multitude of ways, even as we were heckling Austin about his dating life earlier, like asking the question of, hey, like, how can I serve you will play out so well in your relationships, whether those be dating or business. Like asking how you can serve your clients will give them opportunity to give you more business. It'll give them opportunity to help you figure out your unique advantage in the marketplace. Asking your spouse or your girlfriend or even someone who you're like interested in dating the conceptual question, or genuinely asking the question of like, hey, how can I help you, will grow your bond together because it'll give you an opportunity to love them, serve them, show them that you care. Even asking yourself the question, how can I serve you, gives yourself an insight to recognizing, hey, I'm like not taking care of myself in this way. Like if I were to serve myself, what would I do? All right, maybe I would go to the gym more. Maybe I would be more conscious about my diet. Maybe I would actually rest instead of just watching TV all day. And so asking the question, how can I serve you? How can I help you? Is probably the biggest factor to growing that I've personally experienced.
That's amazing because it helps all relationships. And by the way, that's really good communication. And if the key to gaining more business and to growing, and one of those keys being communications, that's a great way to learn about who you're trying to go through life with.
Yeah.
Whether it's a friend, whether it's a fiance, whether it's your wife, or whether it's a business partner or a client. Like all of that, because humans are involved, it helps make it really clear.
Yes.
Man, that is so good. Where is Zach Hammer going?
Ooh, where am I going?
Yeah, where are you going with this business? Where are you going in life? What should we be, and like, what's something that we should be dreaming about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to become someone who creates opportunities for people to build community in person. Because of that, I really want to open up coffee shop as well as grow my online social platforms so that I can leverage those to create some in-person things that build community for people. I also hope to be someone who shares what other people are doing excellently, whether that's sharing what different coffee shops are doing that's innovative, sharing what hotels are doing that creates unique opportunities and stays for people. And you can find me on Instagram at zachhammer.co or zachhammer.weddings. Yeah, love capturing what other people are doing that brings people together.
I'm so glad you told everybody where to find you. I think it's going to be great for people to connect with you. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being
Thank
a friend.
you.
Yeah, man.
You've helped me so much this past year. You've encouraged me. You're always yourself. You're not always positive because not everyone can always be positive.
Oh, true.
And we've all gone through a lot, and that's okay. But what I see is somebody who genuinely cares, and you want to grow, and you are a positive person. You add value to every one and every place that you go to, and you try your best to do that. And so, man, I'm excited for this next year with you. And I just loved that we got to end year 1 of podcasting
52,
together,
man.
52, episode 52. So
Let's go.
This is big, and we're so excited about really year 2 because we have so many things that you've inspired and encouraged me to do, and just that next level of like consistency, that next level of getting better. Leave us with your favorite thought from in your life right now. What's a good, valuable thought to close out this episode?
I think the valuable thought is to honestly just, hey, where am I asking questions? Where am I not asking questions? Like, same with the question of how can I serve you? I think a lot of people, we go through life thinking that we have the answers or feeling like we're expected to have all the answers. And because we expect ourselves to have the answers, we stop asking questions. And when we stop asking questions is the second that we become closed-minded. It's the second that we become prideful, that we lose our ability to grow, and we lose our ability to connect with other people, because you might assume that someone is a certain way because they have a different look from you, so they have a different political belief, so you don't want to talk to them. You stop asking questions of your significant other, so you assume that XYZ things are happening in the relationship when that's not true. You stop asking questions on how can I improve in this thing, so you become hard to work with. You stop asking questions about what can I do to take care of myself better, so you allow yourself to become worse. So just ask more questions of yourself, of other people, and it's the key to growing, building relationships.
Come on. Love you, man. We all need
you too,
that.
bro.
And, man, let's go. If you want to connect with Zach, Zach Hammer, Zach.Hammer.
Zachhammer.co.
There it is.
That's also my website.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And on there, I think in the bio is Zach Weddings.
Oh, yeah, zachhammer.weddings.
Zachhammer.weddings,
If you're interested
yep.
in wedding photo or video.
That's right. And
me up.
Ask All Things Coffee, and check out that aesthetic on the IG. It's fire.
Yeah, and hit me up for any coffee recs in any city. I've got
Hey,
one.
that's it.
Oh, last coffee shop I have to shout out.
Come on.
Plume Coffee Bar.
Number 7.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't believe you didn't say
Number
it,
of
actually.
completion right there. Jeez.
And it's in Plume,
It's in
Colorado.
Silver Plume, Colorado.
Silver Plume, there it is.
It's where I go to escape. It's where my wife and I had our first date. It's where I proposed. Like, special spot.
7. You just got his top 7 in
Number
this
of completion right there. Boom.
It's that's right. We just completed.
Exactly.
Okay, so after this episode, we are launching year 2 of the pod.
Let's go.
And we already have the first 3 episodes
That's exciting.
in
man.
the bank. And I'm telling
Let's
you,
go.
you're not going to want to miss these as we build from this one and just everything that's been going on. If you want to encourage us, if you want to not miss anything, just hit that subscribe, follow button on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. It does help us get the word out. And then we're talking all things like we got Coach Prime thoughts coming your way. We got talking about suicide.
Oh, man.
We got talking just some crazy
Real
adventure
stuff.
So I'm really excited about the next 3 episodes. Don't miss them, and encourage us by following along. So chat with you later. Full Vantage Podcast. Let's go. Year
See
2.
ya.